Hey y'all, my name is Mel, and this project is meaningful to me because it's a platform we created for women to freely express themselves and be the loud and proud, confident women that they're entitled to be.
Hey, I'm Vicky, and just like Mel, I've been in and witnessed too many situations where I felt prejudged and misunderstood, or even worse, was provoked and later on was labeled as crazy for loving myself enough to stand up for me.
Honestly, if I had $1 for each time I've been called crazy or too much, simply for standing up for myself or asking questions when things didn't add up, I'd be on an island I bought with that money right now. And I almost started to believe it, that it was me. But then I realized over time that my voice was my power. And through my story and through this podcast, I hope to inspire women from all walks of life to find their courage and speak up.
I'm beyond over being told to take it, and I wanted to be the voice for the ladies who aren't quite ready to roar just yet.
Women aren't to be placed in a box. We come from different backgrounds and have different journeys, and that's pretty much how we become ourselves and find our purpose. So a man has no place telling us how to be, neither does society. I really hope women listen to this podcast and feel heard and realize there's nothing wrong with a little crazy as long as it means you're freely expressing yourself.
This podcast will touch on all things woman. Let's get crazy. What's up, crazies? Welcome back to the Crazy Bitch Factory for season number 2 of the podcast. We're happy to have you back. Today we're doing a Valentine's Day special, calming it down and having a more personal talk about our personal experiences with men and dating. So I'm going to let Mel go ahead and kick it off. Take it away.
Okay, yes. Hi, welcome back, crazy bitches. Like Vicky says, this is season 2. So obviously with Valentine's Day being right around the corner, we decided to dedicate this episode to our dating experiences. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we can inspire other women out there, or, they can feel like they can relate and it will affect them in a positive way. So for me, I kind of wanted to start off with the pros and cons of dating. So obviously a pro of dating would be, it would be great to have a partner on Valentine's Day because I'm single as a dollar bill. I don't even have anybody I'm texting or talking to. So Valentine's Day, obviously, lucky for me, I have kids, I can dedicate it to them. But the pro would be, the pros of dating is that you have somebody on Valentine's Day, special holidays and occasions. The con, though, is that one of the cons that I'm not saying it's a bad thing to date, but it can come with a lot of compromise. And within that compromise, sometimes you may lose your identity or yourself. So it's really important to find a balance when it comes to that. But other than that, I don't know, for me, in my dating experience, like I said, the pros and what was fun about it was the fact that I had somebody there for even little moments in my life where I don't know, I had an exam and I passed. I was always excited to call my boyfriend at the time and let him know. You know what I mean? It's always a little, obviously you have your friends and you have your family and everything, but it's always nice to have this person who just, likes you unconditionally or loves you. It's a bond, exactly. The stranger who came from nowhere, who just grew this attachment to you in a loving manner. That's obviously, a pro. So I don't know for you, what's your...
Yeah, speaking from someone who's currently in a relationship, I think I was having this moment with you yesterday in the kitchen where I was saying that I'm so in love with the person that he is. And for me, that's a pro because I feel like, for me personally, I've always been a pretty sheltered person as far as who I let into my space. And a lot of times, I obviously have dropped the ball with past men that I've let into my life. This time, I feel like I've made such a great decision to pursue this person or to allow him to pursue me. So for me, it's a pro because I feel like it's teaching me that I am growing and I am learning from my past and I am making better choices. The con, though, is that being in a relationship that you really, really want on both sides, it's just so difficult sometimes. The arguments, are more intense because there's so much more emotion there. And I'm in a long distance relationship on top of that, you know, so it's just like there has to be communication, which nobody's perfect. Nobody has a good day every day. And I feel like sometimes when you're in a relationship, you're a little bit of a punching bag for your partner's bad day. You know, you're a little bit of the only target around to take that heat. So for me, that's my biggest con, I would say. I do obviously feel like I'm lucky because I've been so spoiled with this particular person that there's not really many things I can say is wrong with him. He's not perfect, but as far as I'm concerned, there's not many things that I can say are con for him, except for when we argue. You know, sometimes it can go to a space where it's just like, oh my God, why am I in a relationship again? Why did I want this? Why was I boohooing about being lonely? But you know, you calm down and you get over it and you throw your tantrum and then you feel better the next day and you're just like, this is why I love this person. As long as you can get back to the this is why I love this person.
Yep.
You know, as long as the con isn't something that can't be overcome. Yeah. I think that's, you know, that's most important.
Like, ladies, disrespect is
never,
you know, like, that's definitely a con. If and it's not a relationship. If you're with someone and there's no respect, like she says, you know, there may be little things here and there. He may be having a bad day, cool. But unsolicited disrespect, like, you know what I don't know. Unsolicited. I don't know what else to, you know what I'm saying. What else to call it?
No compassion.
Yeah, like no compassion, no empathy, no, you know, like then that's not a relationship, and you need to get out of it.
It's a dictatorship.
Yeah, it's a dictatorship. It's toxic. It's a toxic.
There's a soca song. You don't have a man, you have a manager.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly.
You don't have a man, you have a manager.
You don't have a man, you have a manager. You have a calculus problem.
Book.
You have a math book.
Algebra test.
True. That's what you have. But all in all, you know, dating should be a fun experience. And as the relationship, if it becomes, you know, obviously dating is just getting to know each other. And then as that progresses and you get to know the person, and you'll really know after a certain amount of time of spending time with this person if you want to keep them around for a long time, or if it's something that's just going to be, you know, a little summer fling, a little spring fling, and you're going to keep it moving. So when you get to that point where you feel like it's someone that you want to move forward with, that's where the compromises come in. You can't, you know what I mean? You both have to compromise on both parts in order to be able to grow, because at the end of the day, if one of you guys doesn't compromise, it's always going to feel like you're losing yourself. You're just constantly pulling out of yourself to please this person, and that becomes a toxic environment, and you definitely don't want that.
And adding on to what you just said, a lot of people, there's this saying that says, you know, beware of your single friends. I also feel that way about some friends that are in relationships that may not be going as well as yours. I feel like you have to beware of people in general when it comes to a relationship that exudes happiness, where people can see that both parties are happy and, you know, they're where they want to be at the current moment with who they want to be with. I feel like a lot of people, if they're not experiencing that same kind of energy in their own lives, whether they're in or outside of a relationship, will allow you to self-destruct and will allow you to self-sabotage. And I feel like I'm lucky. Like, for example, you know, I don't have any friends that will go as far as to intrude into my conversations or intrude into my arguments with my man. But I will say that I do appreciate Melissa for being able to, you know, when she witnesses a conversation that gets too heated, whether it's, you know, on the phone or FaceTime, whatever, afterwards she'll always be able to pull me aside and just be like, hey girl, you're doing too much. You know, I think that you need to see his way of things a little bit, and I understand his point of view as this from an outsider looking in, and I feel like I need that because I'm a very strong, opinionated person, and sometimes it's hard to see the other side of the argument when it's coming from the person you're arguing with. When it's coming from a third party who realistically, Melissa doesn't have anything to gain from not taking my side as her best friend. So for that person, a person in her position in my life, to tell me, hey, you're wrong in this situation, chill out, you know, give him a break, I appreciate that, because it really has saved a lot of the arguments in the last, you know, couple weeks that could have been major. It allowed me to, like, take a step back and just analyze myself
That's good.
In a different way, So I think that that's important too. It's to not only be aware of yourself and be aware of the person you're choosing, but also be aware of the energy you're keeping around you once you found that person.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true for sure. So, yeah, no, just because sometimes, like if it's none of my business, it's none of my business. And it still isn't any of my business when I chime in, but it's just because what I see it as you say, this is a man that you care about and that you love. And it's just like, I feel like at times it's important to kind of like let your friend know what it is that they have and what's on the line, if they don't bring it down a few notches and have
fuck it up.
And just level out with the person, have a civil conversation. And if you can't have a conversation now, like I said to Vicky, if that's your man, you so claim that's your man, he so claim you his lady, he put a ring on it and everything. Take some space. He's not going nowhere. You don't have to sit there and argue and go back and forth, because a lot of things that will be said in that instant can't be taken back, and then you're adding on to oh well, last time you said, what I mean, like you don't want to add on to that. So it's best to just kind of just be like, okay, you having a moment, no worries, soak in it, and then come back later and let's have a chat. It's not always worth it just being like, oh, I'm gonna be petty because you being petty. You know what I mean? Some people are just coming from a place of, like some people are coming from a place of stress. Some people had a long day. It's not necessarily personal, especially when you have a good partner, and vice versa. I'm not just saying that it's you. I'm saying on both. If I was there and he was doing it to you, I'd be like, excuse me, sir, I got a couple words for you, and it's not coming from a place of like, oh, I want y'all to break up. It's definitely coming from a place of like, you don't want to get to the point where you just argue so much that you don't even know what you arguing about. You know what I mean? It's just not worth it.
I never know what we're arguing about.
You know what I mean? It's just not worth it.
Because the reality of it is that, again, I've been spoiled with a person who does his best to, he does his best in general with everything. So I can't say that we argue about anything that's even, like, we've had a couple arguments that were about deep subjects that we've gotten past early on in our relationship. Now we're at a point where it's like, I don't know what it is, but it's like we just argue about the stupidest, just dumbest shit, which is like good and bad, because arguing is healthy somewhat in relationships, so both people get it out. But at the same time, it's like,
it's how is it? Yeah,
it's
exhausting. But it's, as you say, it's like, what do you get? Like you this is how you learn each other.
Exactly.
This is how you. So as long as nobody's taking it too personal or too like, you know what I mean, then you should be fine. Eventually, it's just gonna build a stronger bond.
And exactly. Whenever we have had any like major fights, the next day, literally, will be okay. And it's a stronger bond than it was before we had that argument. Because we're both working towards, solving it. We're not like one person's trying to fight and the other person's trying to solve it. We're both over our own shit.
That's good. So. It's always important to be on the same page with your partner as well. Because I'm telling you, when one of them is like just 1 + 1 = 2, and you like 2 + 2 = 4, we on different kinds of sets of problems. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not
two
like
different math problems.
You know what I mean? Two different math problems. So, now I wanted to talk about being single versus being in a relationship on Valentine's Day. So I guess since I'm already rapping, let me just go ahead and give my piece. Being single on Valentine's Day, like I said, it hasn't been so bad since I've had my kids, because I get to, I know they have all those corny memes about like, oh, watch all the moms be like, my son's my Valentine. Let us have that.
Like, damn.
Yeah, let us have that. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. At the end of the day, my kids are my Valentines. I recall a long time ago.
It's like, damn, we can't even do anything.
No,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
I've shot down before we even get to do it.
I recall my friend Ryan a long time ago used to tell me that her mom used to take them out on Valentine's Day. That was when my daughter was first born. And I used to go to her house and be around her family, lovely family. And her mom, Ryan told me, she's like, my mom always takes us out on Valentine's Day. That'd be her thing. You know what I mean? And then so I was kind of inspired by that, and I started doing that with my kids every year. I take them out on Valentine's Day, or I'll get them a treat. You know what I mean? I'll get them. My parents
were usually my Valentine's.
Exactly. Yeah, my mom used to get us stuff too, but like I wasn't looking at it like that until now. I like the fact that she'll take them out to dinner every year. It's a tradition. You know what I mean? So like it's something that I get to benefit from, but at the same time, it is kind of like uncomfortable and disappointing. Those are the two words that I can think of as I'm getting older, just being single for the long periods of time. Like I always, I'll have a man, but then like for a while I'm just maybe talking to a couple dudes here and there, doing me. But so on Valentine's Day, most of the time I'm single. Yeah. And like I said, I just can't wait for the day to just accelerate and just right. Yeah, exactly, like let's just get it over with and get back to regular programming, because it's just uncomfortable for me, like you have to go online and see everybody just love someone, and like sometimes I get to a point where I don't even remember what that felt like, what it felt like to really truly be in love with someone. It's like it's almost like it's scary for me to even jump into that. So Valentine's Day as a single woman, I'm gonna separate the woman from the mom, just as a single woman, is uncomfortable. It's awkward. You don't know if people are kind of like, oh, I feel sorry for you, right? It's like I'm not really feeling sorry for myself. I'm just awkward. I'm just uncomfortable. I kind of like I get a little bit of wishful thinking, like, oh, it'd be nice to have somebody, but at the same time, like I said, I'm perfectly fine and content being by myself and celebrating with my kids. So for you as a woman in a relationship, I guess you said recently this was your first time in a long time having a Valentine on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. And like I said, being in a long distance relationship, our plans were initially to see each other. And then today, those plans changed. So we will not be seeing each other for Valentine's Day, but it's not like I'm not, in a relationship. It's just how we won't be physically together. And that doesn't bother me. To be honest, I don't know what it is with me and Valentine's Day. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, it's just that, like, I'm not a Debbie Downer about it. I think it's also because, as you know, this weekend altogether marks the anniversary of 3 deaths of 3 wonderful women, that passed at the same year, one day after the next. So ever since then, and even before then, I feel like ever since then, Valentine's Day has lost a lot of like happy meaning for me. I just like to think of it as a time to just remember those people. And if I was going to be with my man this weekend, obviously I'd be into doing the, date night and the cute couple shit, because I've never really had it on an adult level. The last time I think I've had a Valentine's, I was like 21, which is like 8 good years ago. And it didn't even go as planned. So I don't know. It's never really bothered me too much. Because I'm either like single or I'm dealing with somebody who isn't serious enough to be considered a Valentine's, or we're in that weird what are we phase, and it's like I can't call you my boyfriend, but you want all the girlfriend perks. So, it's just like that kind of dumb shit. So I feel like over the years, like you said, it does become a disappointment. So for me, I kind of just
awkward.
Got used. Yeah, I just kind of got used to the weird, like awkward, disappointing feeling. And then, after what happened a couple years ago, it just kind of like, it stopped being Valentine's Day weekend for me. Like I almost forget that it's even coming because of that. So I just feel like, I think the word I would use is indifferent. Like I was disappointed this morning when I found out that he wouldn't be able to make it for Valentine's Day weekend, but I got over it. I'm okay.
But I guess for like anyone who's like, let's say in a situation where, it's not like a sad weekend for them and they do have a partner, and the partner's here, I think that
it's fun.
The difference is that exactly, it's a whole lot more fun.
Sorry for being morbid.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I guess I should have given the happier version of what it would be like.
To give a range of what it could be for for anyone out there who is in a in a relationship,
time, and it's fun to be able to take part of the. Trust me, I had all of my Valentine's couple annoying picture Snapchat plan Like,
you know what I mean? Exactly.
Like rose petal on the
I'd
bed.
I'd love to, like, if I was in a relationship, I'd love to go to a spa, or like I'd love to just like, you know, get the kids babysat and just like go to a anywhere where they have a jacuzzi. You know, I know it's COVID, but you know, like sanitize,
like a room
sanitize that shit,
yeah,
and you know, have a nice jacuzzi, some red lights, and just do some freaky shit for the night.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I would love
things
to
planned,
do that.
but
I would love to do that, but you know, I will one day. But,
exactly.
You know, one day when I meet somebody solid, then I guess that I'll have that opportunity. In the meantime, spending it, you know, single with my children, or just treating it like any other day is not a big deal.
Yeah. I guess from there we can segue into something I wanted to mention, which is Valentine's Day do's and don'ts.
Okay.
So again, it's hard for me. I don't even know why I put this on my list, because I'm like indifferent about it. But still, I would think that Valentine's Day do's and don'ts. I'll start with don'ts. Don't be pressed to have a Valentine's. Like, if it's like February 1st and you still don't have someone that you're clearly considering your Valentine's, just accept that it may or may not happen.
If I meet you February 1st, if I meet you January 1st, you're not going to be my Valentine. I just think that's too soon. Like,
just accept that it may not happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people who, like, February starts to roll around and they're scrolling through their old roster to see who might be available. And I'm like,
they're on fucking Tinder looking for
exactly. Is it
dates?
that deep? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
no.
For the amount of hoopla that we make about Valentine's Day, I genuinely feel like if you're not spending it with someone who you actually love, then it's just another.
It's just
it's just another hookup.
Corny.
It's just another hookup, which you can do any other night. So I just feel like if you're not already, like, there's someone in sight that you know for a fact there's 90% chance this is going to be your Valentine, don't be thirsty about it. You'll live through the day. Like the day and the night, you'll be okay. So that's a don't. For a do
treat yourself. Do get you some scrub and some, like, you know, some bath bombs and like some candles and get you some chocolate girl.
Even some flowers. They be having them,
get you some flowers. Exactly. Treat yourself.
A little cheap around that time.
Treat yourself. I don't know why. Like, we need to normalize women just like buying themselves flowers. I used to buy myself flowers all the time.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, 2 years ago on Valentine's Day, I bought myself like this humongous teddy bear simply because I've always wanted one.
Exactly.
And they were there in the store, and it just so happened to be Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
And I bought it,
treat yourself. You know, get dolled up. Take pictures of yourself in lingerie. You know what I mean? Make all your exes mad if you need to. But, you know, first and foremost, like, do treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Pamper yourself, you know.
Exactly.
Just because you're single on Valentine's Day doesn't mean that you have to be sad. It's a celebration of love. So
exactly.
Self-love is included in that. You can love yourself without someone having to love you. It's mostly important for you to love yourself before you can love anyone else in the first place. So I think that, you know, that's a do. In my opinion, that's definitely
it's a big do.
Yeah.
Another do is please do be appreciative. A lot of women do this thing where we're just like, we have this ideal plan for everything. Ideal first date, ideal first night together, ideal first this, ideal first that. And it's just like, you cannot plan your own ideal Valentine's Day. First of all, you're getting your hopes up for something that may not be what he has planned at all. And then when you do that, what you give off when you see what he has planned is ungratefulness and disappointment, and it shows all over your face and your attitude and your actions. I just think that you should just, you know, if you know you have I'm not saying settle for anything. Like, if your man is trying to do the same thing on Valentine's night that you've been doing every night for the last month, then of course you're allowed to be a little disappointed and say something. But I'm just saying, like, if you have someone who's actually going out of their way, men as well, you know what I'm saying? If you have a woman who's actually willing to give up that time that she could be either spending with her kids or doing anything else to go out with you, treat her with some courtesy. You know what I'm saying? For one night out of 365 days of the year, open her car door, open the restaurant door, pull out her chair. Just do something outside of what you would do every day. You know, don't just do the norm. Like, and women appreciate those little things that men are doing, because there's a lot of men who don't give a shit about Valentine's Day and don't give a shit about how their women feel about them not giving a shit about Valentine's Day.
Right.
So, I would say do be appreciative on
true.
both ends. Be appreciative of the time that's being given up to have this date, and be appreciative of the effort that's going into the night. I would definitely say that. Don't overspend. It's one night. It's one day.
Yeah, don't do too much.
Don't spend half your paycheck on a meal.
With this generation,
it's just too much.
Everyone wants to just outdo each other on TikTok and Instagram. Remember that you're not, if you're not YouTube famous and you're not TikTok famous, you ain't capitalizing off that shit. Please remember that your paycheck needs to go first and foremost towards your rent and everything, and your car payments and car notes and all this other shit. Make sure that you do something on a budget. If the person loves you, it won't matter. For me, I'm very old school. I'm very simple. Take me to movies and a dinner, and I'm a happy girl. Bring me some flowers, some little chocolates or whatever.
Exactly.
And then take me out to dinner, and let's end it with a movie, and then we can get a bottle and go to our jacuzzi hotel and have a good time. Okay, that's good enough for me. You're right about the not spending too much.
I think another thing that works with this, which is what me and Preston have been doing since we started exchanging gifts within our relationship, we always agree on a number of gifts. We don't talk about the price. We just talk about a number of gifts. So, for example, as you saw for my birthday, he sent me a non-stop overflow of gifts, which obviously I couldn't match. But, I did what I could in return. And then for Christmas, we agreed on 3 gifts each. And just stuff like that, just to make sure that, you're on the same page. Speaking of gifts, a lot of women do not feel the need to give their men a gift on Valentine's Day. Yeah. And I agree and I disagree. For one, if it's not actually your boyfriend, it's just someone who's trying to get to know you and they just so happen to ask you out for Valentine's Day, then no, I don't necessarily think you owe this person anything, and they don't owe you anything other than the dinner that they're taking you on. But if you're in a relationship with this man and he's planning a whole evening and he's making it special for you, a little something would be nice. I think Valentine's Day, there's no rule in the book where it says it's just for women. There's no rule in the book that says men cannot receive on that day as well. If he's going the mile to make you feel special on that day, I don't see why a little something can't be given to him. You know what I mean? Just make him feel appreciated. Make him feel like you mean something to him. As much as he's been thinking about you planning this whole night, you've been thinking about him.
Exactly.
I think that's a major do. Consider as women giving gifts the way that we want to receive them. It doesn't have to be extravagant or out of your budget, but just consider a little bit of give with your take.
Right. I agree.
I think that's important.
I agree for sure. But looking into my notes here, I had jotted down dating experiences of Black women, single mom, whatever, just since we're on the topic. And I'm just going to blend the two, just because of the time, I'm going to blend the two of them. I'm just going to, I also wrote down what I look for in a partner based on my previous experiences. So, my dating experiences, it's usually I'm not the one seeking out the men usually seek me out. That's first and foremost. Since I was a child, I never really had much of an interest in just going dating, for any dating or going for that. I was more so goal driven and just I can't wait to go to college and get the fuck away from everyone. That was mostly my what my main focus was growing up as as a teenager. And then I met my children's father senior year of high school, and that kind of all changed for me. We ended up having our first child, I guess, a few years after we met, maybe more. I don't know. I don't feel like doing the math. And then, I think it was about a few years, because we met at 17 and I had Sky by the time I was 21, so 4 years.
Right.
And then we had our son a little bit later, but our own relationship,
that's a good span compared to how fast people were jumping up and having kids.
I mean, we were trying. I mean, we were doing what we was doing. It's just then because of the long distance, it didn't happen right away. But ultimately, we never really got to that particular relationship. Affected the rest of my interactions with men. So that's what I'm saying. Like, once I dealt with that and I got out of that situation, I'm not going to get too into details.
Course, right.
But once I got out of that situation, the way that I was left empty, broken, not knowing who the fuck I am, I couldn't even look in the mirror or know myself or nothing, because it was just the way that I had been left and dumped out by the end of that situation. I didn't really, you know what I mean? I was just like, all right, you take care of your kids and take care of yourself, and you don't really need to worry about anything like that. So in the years that I was dating, I can say that most of the guys that I've dated are good friends of mine now. You know what I mean? They're people that I can call friends for the most part. Some acquaintances, somebody I used to know. But for the most part, it's people that I picked up little things from all of them that I liked. You know, if I met one who was like very courteous and polite, and you know what I mean, then I'd be like, I want that out of a man. And like, if I met one who did something that I actually didn't particularly like, then I'd be like, I know that's from now moving forward, if I text a motherfucker, he got about 72 hours, text me back with some, I was in the hospital or some shit like that, because I'm not chasing after you. I don't have time for that.
What you're saying is so true. And just to add on very quickly, I think that this is concept that I like to call collecting red flags. I see dating, especially for black women, as the yellow brick road. You're following the yellow brick road of your own decisions and choices as far as men. And along the way, you're going to encounter some things. And I feel like a lot of women, especially black women, we're so prone to giving black men the benefit of the fucking doubt that we are just like zooming past these red flags and not collecting them.
Yeah, not fucking anymore.
And I think what you're referring to is what I love to call collecting red flags, because I feel like on our journey on this yellow brick road, whenever we see a red flag, we need to collect that motherfucker, so that the next time we see something that looks like this, we can reach into our Dora the Explorer backpack and be like, I have this flag already. Thank you. My collection is already complete.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's just like, I don't, there's things that I see that I like, and there's things that I see that I don't like. Some of my exes, I have to say, like, I definitely like the ones who spoiled me and treated me like, you know, I was like
as hardworking as you are, shit.
Yeah, no, they treated me like I was like a fucking. I always say the guys that I like the most are the guys who make me feel like I'm the starlet in the movie. I'm like the leading lady in the movie. I'm like most of the one that they're pursuing and trying to like save out of the castle. You know, there's guys that I date that make me feel that way.
And most of the men that I've seen spoil you are the ones who literally appreciate you for just being able to survive your own day. You know, like they look at everything that you go through in a day and they're like, damn, you are a hard working, never stopping, go getting type of woman. You deserve a break. You deserve a little pampering.
Yeah.
And for me,
I can't do well with a guy who's just like, nothing you're doing is good enough. You have to do more. You have to give more. You have to, you know what I mean? I can't deal with that. I know the kind of woman that I am, and I know what I bring to the table. I will not take disrespect, especially not coming out of a situation that was as terrible as my first, major heartbreak and breakup. Right. It took a long time for me to build myself up to be the person that I am today. I literally left out of there with nothing. I mean, like $0 in my pockets, nowhere to go, no one that I really knew in the town that I ended up moving into, and I had to build myself from scratch with nothing and 2 babies. So I can't really sit here and take no weak crybaby fuckboy type of dude. Like, right. I really just, it's a waste of my time. It's not gonna work. I don't take disrespect. I can do bad all by myself. Period. And I know that for a fact. Period. I know that for a fact. I have done it. When you come from like just having nothing and the only motivation that you have is your children and making sure that they're good, you're not just sitting out here trying to be in any type of nonsense situation. It has to be something solid. It has to be someone who deserves you, and then that's when they get the best of me. You know what I mean? But other than that, it's like, I got time for this.
I mean, if I can co-sign everything you just said, like you, as you know, because at the time we were living together. When I met my fiance, I was completely and entirely focused on my own goddamn self, because the last person that I had spoken to before him was the first person in a long time who had actually intrigued me in a way where I could actually see us together. And I'm not going to go in too deep about it, but the reason as to why we couldn't be together was just so irritating, annoying, and foul to me that I was just like, you know what, this, like, I had to take a step back and be like, there are so many other avenues in life. You know what I mean? There's education, there's money, there's career, there's family, there's spirituality, there's learning. I love to learn, as you know. I like to read, I love documentaries, I love to learn about anything. So for me, it's like there's so many other things going on in the world that I don't need to necessarily focus on a man. I wanted love, but at the time I was just like, I guess it's not going to be now. It's not going to be where I'm living, where I was living at the time, and it's not going to be with anyone that's around me, because like I said, my whole city, I was just like garbage. I don't want anything that comes out of here. That's not what I want. And I feel like I was just at a point where I was just like, I'm just going to focus on me. I'm going to make sure I do everything I got to do at work so I don't have to hear nobody's voice. I'm going to make sure that I, focus on, at the time I was going to the gym pretty much 3 to 4 days a week after work. I would go to the gym for about 2 hours. I was focused on coming home and doing my meal preps and focused on different things. And by the time I met this person, I was so not in a headspace of like taking a man seriously that I almost blew it with this person. There was a lot of he had to forgive a lot of behaviors and a lot of things that I did in the beginning that were just not conducive with taking a person seriously. Mm-hmm. And it's not anything that he did wrong. It's just, I was so focused on, men are not the avenue right now, that when he did come into my life, I was just so in a space of focusing on me that I almost missed it, Right. And so I agree that when you are working on yourself and you are taking care of you and you are doing you, a man who is trying to take you seriously, he's going to see that. Yep. And he's going to know. And I'm not going to divulge too much of my business, because a lot of people, I know a lot of people are going to hear it and be like, what? That's crazy. But him and I didn't really do a whole 5-year relationship before getting engaged. We didn't do a whole long thing. Like, we met, we knew that we were on the same page. The bond was there. The chemistry was there. Conversation was there. The understanding and the equal goal, being on the same page, everything is there. So it's just kind of like, after a year of talking, no label, just talking back and forth, long distance, and visiting each other when we could, we made it official. And not too many months after we made it actually official, we got engaged. And it's just how it flowed. Right. Nobody pressured anybody to do anything. It just flowed the way it needed to flow because of us being in the same wavelength of wanting the same exact things. Yeah,
that's important in a partner, to find that in a partner.
And I can honestly really important. Attribute that. I can attribute not having to deal with another fuck nigga after the last one that I dealt with, in between the time meeting him to focusing on me. Because I can 100% guarantee you that it may not have been a large gap between time, but there was enough time in there that if I wasn't focused on me, another fucking nigga could have slipped in and wasted some more of my time.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm not in a, like, I'm telling you, that's why I'm saying, like, my phone doesn't have to be dry. I've just been, like, sucking talking to men, because a lot of times I'm like, okay, like, what is this? Where's this going? Like, I'm looking for depth. I'm looking for, so just to get back into what I was saying, based on my previous dating experience, I know what I'm looking for now. You know what I mean? I know I don't regret anything that I've been through. I don't regret any decisions that I've made. I feel like everything is a lesson. Right. And in those lessons, I know exactly what it is that I'm looking for in a man. And not like, like, oh, he has to be tall, dark, and handsome. Like, right. I mean, like, qualities. He has to, it's qualities and character and morals, and, someone who has tact, someone who stands by something and has a code and lives by it. You know what I mean? Like, I respect that in a man. I respect a man who's been through some things and can come out and be like, okay, well, because of the things I've been through, this is the person that I choose to be today. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I need a man who's strong enough to check me, but check me like a lady. Don't check me like I'm a dude off the street, because then we have a problem. You know what I mean? Like, I just need someone who has great communication skills, someone who's just, like, pampers me, but also, like, pushes me in life. Like, you know what I mean? So
Exactly.
And I don't, I don't want anybody, I don't need to be, like, I'm not the type of woman that needs to have any type of like aggression being sent her way whatsoever. I understand everything pretty clearly from when I'm right to when I'm wrong. So, you know, what I'm looking for right now is peace and happiness and a healthy relationship. Exactly.
That's what I prayed for. I prayed
and
for
if
peace.
It's not that, I don't fucking need it. I'm gonna take it like a tennis ball and throw that shit on the other side of the net. I don't need that.
Yeah, I didn't pray for a man. I've never once in my life actually prayed for a man. I prayed for peace, and I didn't necessarily mean I feel like I've touched on this before. I didn't necessarily mean in my love life. I just meant in general. I was like, whatever kind of peace you can bring to me this year, Lord, please and thank you. Shit. And imagine that was at the end of, not the end, but maybe like, yeah, I was around the end of 2019. I don't like to do New Year's resolutions. I just like to pray for something new to come into my life. Whether it's peace or patience or understanding, you know what I'm saying? And that year I prayed for peace. And ironically enough, I was already speaking to him. And I was already kind of in a space where I was kind of, you know, feeling him a little bit. Yeah. And that whole year, which was 2020, which enough said, 2020 was 2020 for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And it's just so crazy that at the top of a year where nobody knew it was going to be one of the worst years of our history, I prayed for peace. And I have to say that out of everything that went crazy in my life, everything that was topsy-turvy, he has been the consistent peace.
That's amazing.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He has been the consistent focal point. I mean, obviously I have my best friend and I have, you know, my mom that I talk to and certain people that I go to, but as far as something new that came into my life, he has been consistent peace. And it's period. Even when we argue and I'm just like, I don't want this anymore. Yeah. I don't really mean that shit because
trust me,
I don't want to be back out here in these streets.
There ain't nothing out here.
I don't want that man to take me back to the hood.
Ain't nothing. Yo, I've been taken back to the hood so many times. Yo,
don't give me away, please.
I got a fucking monthly pass for that shit.
Don't kill me.
I get sent back to. It's my mouth, but hey.
I mean, but even that's not an excuse because
I have other great qualities. The only time that I run my mouth is if you disrespect me.
If a man likes it, he gonna like it.
Mouth.
Despite
exactly.
Your mouth.
That's what I'm saying.
My mouth is reckless as shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just about the person. Whoever's out there that can handle me is who I'm looking for.
I mean, he don't necessarily like my mouth, but he accepts it as part of the things that I come with.
Exactly, and that's the whole point, and that's the goal. You want to find somebody that, you know, you may have to compromise because you can't just think you're perfect and your shit don't stink. You know what I'm saying? Right. People come with the person that you want into your life is going to come with different traumas and you know life experiences and everything that's going to make them, and you have to accept them as who they are and love them unconditionally. That's the condition there. You know what I mean? If you give them condition and you don't love them unconditionally, you have to love them flaws and all, especially if it's worth it, if the person is worth it to you. Now we're getting around about 40 minutes, so we're just going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. We have more coming for you guys this season. You know, we're hoping that this season, you know, we're able to bring in some visuals and some games and, you know, like different types of guests and things like that where we can really make it interesting for you guys. And you know, I don't know if you have anything else to add on.
No, I really just want to say thank you for everybody who is, if you're listening to season 2 and you listen to season 1, thank you so much for your support and your ears, and whatever feedback we've received has been great. So that's pretty much that. You guys can catch us on Instagram. We are dropping the podcast. You can be listened to on, I have a blank right now.
Okay.
Spotify.
It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcast. It's on SoundCloud, YouTube.
Yeah.
And yes, follow us on Instagram so that, you know, we can communicate with you guys directly also. And yeah, so let's have a great season. We're really hoping that we can bring in some content that will be insightful and interesting for a lot of you guys out there. I hope that we have some male listeners as well, you know, because I'd love to get some feedback.
I would love to get you guys feedback. Please,
I would love to get some male feedback as well.
Message us in either the Crazy Bitch Factory Inc. inbox on Instagram. You can message Mel directly at Move a Rose Mel on Instagram, or myself directly at Dancing Beige. That's BAJE at the end on Instagram. Don't be afraid to speak to us. We're really nice people. We're just very opinionated, but we really, really want more feedback this season. What do you want to talk about? What do you want to hear about? What kind of shows are you here for? And what negative feedback do you think? Or what?
Yeah, we can learn from that.
Not negative feedback, but what constructive criticism would you have for the show? And that's pretty much that. Please come back again for the next episode, and we will see you back at the Crazy Bitch Factory.
Peace out.
Bye.